this episode, we look at how scalability, environmental requirements, risk, and recovery decisions shape secure architecture. These topics can seem separate at first, but they are tightly connected in real design work. A system may be secure when it supports a small group, but become fragile when the organization grows. A data center may have strong firewalls and access controls, but still fail if power, cooling, or physical conditions are not reliable. A recovery plan may sound strong on paper, but still fall short if it does not match the real business impact of an outage. You are learning to think about security architecture as a living design that must support growth, survive stress, and recover when something goes wrong. Good architecture does not only ask how to protect a system today. It asks whether the protection will still work when demand, risk, environment, and failure conditions change. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at Cyber.Me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Scalability is the ability of a system or environment to grow, shrink, or adjust as demand changes. A small application may begin with a few users, a small database, and simple network needs. Over time, more users may arrive, more data may be collected, more locations may connect, and more services may depend on the application. If the architecture cannot scale, performance may slow, storage may fill, support teams may fall behind, and security controls may stop covering everything. Scalability is not only about adding more computing power. It also includes scaling identity management, logging, monitoring, backup, network capacity, access reviews, incident response, and policy enforcement. When you think about secure design, you should ask what happens when the environment doubles, triples, or expands into a new region. A control that works only when the system is small may become a weakness when the business grows. There are different ways to scale, and each one has security implications. Vertical scaling means making an individual system stronger by adding more processing power, memory, or storage. Horizontal scaling means adding more systems or service instances so the workload is spread out. Vertical scaling can be simpler because there may be fewer systems to manage, but it can also create a bigger single point of failure if the system becomes too central. Horizontal scaling can improve availability and performance, but it creates more assets, more network paths, more logs, and more configuration to control. Cloud environments often make horizontal scaling easier through automated resource creation, but automation can repeat insecure settings if the approved pattern is weak. On-premises scaling may require earlier planning because hardware, space, power, and cooling cannot be created instantly. Secure scalability means growth happens through controlled patterns instead of rushed exceptions. Scalability also affects data protection. As data grows, the organization may need more storage, more backups, more retention planning, and stronger classification discipline. A small database may be easy to understand, but a large data environment can spread across reporting systems, analytics tools, cloud storage, archives, test environments, and backup platforms. If sensitive information expands without governance, it may appear in places where encryption, access control, monitoring, or retention rules are weaker. More data also means recovery can take longer. Restoring a small data set may be simple, while restoring a massive one may require careful sequencing and enough bandwidth, storage, and staff. You should think about how data growth changes both protection and recovery. Secure architecture should not wait until storage is full or backups take too long. It should plan for data volume, data location, data sensitivity, and data lifecycle before growth becomes urgent. Environmental requirements are the physical and operational conditions a system needs in order to run safely. These may include power, cooling, humidity control, fire protection, physical access control, dust management, cable organization, rack space, and reliable network connectivity. In a cloud service, many of these physical requirements are handled by the provider, but the organization still needs to choose regions, availability options, and service designs that match its needs. In an on-premises setting, environmental requirements are much more direct. A server placed in a poorly cooled office closet may overheat. A critical network device connected to one power outlet may fail during a simple electrical problem. A backup system stored in the same room as production equipment may be lost in the same incident. Physical conditions are part of cybersecurity because systems cannot remain available, reliable, or recoverable if the environment supporting them is weak. Power is one of the most basic environmental needs, and it is easy to underestimate until it fails. Critical systems may require redundant power circuits, generators, batteries, surge protection, and an uninterruptible power supply, UPS. A UPS can keep equipment running briefly during a power interruption or allow a controlled shutdown before damage occurs. Longer outages may require generators and fuel planning. These protections need maintenance and testing. A generator that never starts during a real outage was not a reliable control. Cooling is just as important because equipment can fail or shut down when temperatures rise beyond safe limits. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC, systems may be part of the availability design for server rooms and data centers. Security architecture has to include these physical dependencies because a cyber control cannot protect a system that has lost power or overheated. Environmental needs can vary sharply by location and mission. A corporate office, cloud region, manufacturing plant, hospital, research lab, ship, remote field site, and small branch location may all have different physical constraints. Some sites may have unstable power, limited bandwidth, harsh weather, dust, vibration, or few technical staff nearby. Operational technology, OT, environments may require special care because temperature, pressure, safety, and equipment timing can affect physical processes. A remote site may need local resilience because network links to central systems are unreliable. A cloud-first design may still need local fallback if users must keep working during an internet outage. These realities influence secure design. You cannot copy one architecture everywhere and assume it fits. You have to ask what the environment can support, what failure is most likely, and how the system should behave when the local conditions are poor. Risk connects scalability and environmental requirements to business decision-making. Risk includes the chance that something could go wrong and the impact if it does. A system that supports a public website, a payment process, an identity service, a safety function, or a regulated data store will carry different levels of risk. Risk appetite describes how much risk the organization is willing to accept in order to meet its goals. A startup may accept more downtime for a low-risk internal tool because cost matters more at that stage. A hospital, bank, utility, or emergency service may have much less tolerance for outages or data loss. Security architecture should reflect that difference. If leaders expect a system to support critical operations, the architecture must include resilience, monitoring, recovery, and environmental support that match that expectation. A design that ignores risk appetite may either overspend on low-impact systems or underprotect critical ones. Risk decisions should be explicit because silent assumptions create weak architecture. One team may assume a system can be offline for a day, while another team assumes it must be restored within an hour. One team may assume data can be recreated, while another knows that lost data would trigger legal, financial, or safety consequences. One team may assume cloud replication is enabled, while another never paid for or configured it. These mismatches appear during incidents, when there is little time to negotiate expectations. A secure architecture process should identify critical services, data sensitivity, dependencies, maximum tolerable downtime, acceptable data loss, and required recovery order. That does not mean every system receives the highest level of protection. It means each system receives protection that matches its real importance. Good risk decisions help architecture become deliberate instead of accidental. Recovery decisions define what the organization expects to happen after disruption. Recovery time objective, RTO, describes how quickly a system should be restored after an outage or incident. Recovery point objective, RPO, describes how much data loss may be acceptable based on the age of the last usable recovery point. These ideas help turn business needs into technical design. A system with a short RTO may need standby infrastructure, rapid failover, or automation that reduces manual work. A system with a low RPO may need frequent backups, replication, or continuous data protection. These choices cost money and add complexity, so they should be tied to business impact. If a system can be down for 2 days without serious harm, it may not need the same recovery design as the identity platform that everyone uses to sign in. Recovery planning also depends on dependencies. A system may not recover just because its own server or service is restored. It may depend on identity services, domain name system, DNS, network connectivity, certificates, databases, storage, third-party providers, encryption keys, logging platforms, and administrative access. If those dependencies are unavailable, the application may still fail. This is why recovery plans need to consider the whole service chain. Restoring a database before restoring the identity system may not help users if they cannot authenticate. Restoring an application without restoring the encryption keys may leave data unreadable. Restoring a cloud workload without network routes may leave it unreachable. A strong recovery design identifies dependencies, sets recovery order, and tests whether the pieces work together. You should never assume that recovering one component automatically recovers the business process it supports. Business continuity is broader than technical recovery. Business continuity planning, BCP, focuses on keeping essential operations going during and after disruption. Disaster recovery, DR, focuses more specifically on restoring technology and data after a serious event. The two are closely related. If an ordering system is down, the business may need a manual ordering process while technology is restored. If a building is unavailable, staff may need alternate work locations. If a cloud provider has an outage, users may need a backup service path or a clear communication process. BCP asks how the organization continues serving its mission. DR asks how systems are restored to support that mission. Secure architecture should support both. Technical recovery that ignores business operations may restore the wrong systems first. Business continuity that ignores technology dependencies may promise workarounds that cannot actually function. Testing is where recovery assumptions meet reality. A backup that has never been restored is only a hope. A failover process that has never been exercised may fail because of expired credentials, missing network rules, outdated documentation, capacity limits, or unclear decision authority. Testing can include tabletop exercises, partial failover tests, backup restoration tests, communication drills, and full disaster recovery exercises when appropriate. The goal is not to embarrass teams. The goal is to find weaknesses before a real incident does. Testing also reveals whether our TO and our PO targets are realistic. A team may discover that restoring a large dataset takes much longer than expected, or that a critical administrator is the only person who knows a required step. Secure design improves when testing results feed back into architecture, staffing, documentation, automation, and training. Scalability, environment, risk, and recovery all influence each other. If an organization scales quickly without adjusting monitoring, recovery time may increase because there are more systems and more data to restore. If environmental support is weak, availability and recovery may fail even when software controls are strong. If risk appetite is low for a critical service, the architecture may need redundancy, tested failover, strong backups, and protected administration paths. If recovery requirements are strict, the design must account for capacity, replication, dependency order, and staff readiness before an incident. These decisions should be made before pressure arrives. During an outage, people often choose speed over discipline because they are trying to restore service. A thoughtful architecture gives them safer options under stress. It creates tested paths, known priorities, and clear boundaries so recovery can happen quickly without creating new security problems. Secure architecture is not finished just because a system works on launch day. It must keep working as demand grows, data expands, environments change, and failures occur. Scalability makes sure controls and resources can grow with the mission. Environmental planning makes sure physical and operational conditions can support the systems you depend on. Risk analysis helps decide which systems need stronger protection and which trade-offs are acceptable. Recovery decisions translate business expectations into technical requirements for restoration and data protection. Business continuity keeps attention on the mission, not just the machines. The strongest designs are honest about failure. They assume systems will be stressed, components will break, demand will change, and incidents will happen. When you design with that reality in mind, security becomes more than prevention. It becomes the ability to keep operating, recover with confidence, and protect what matters even when conditions are not ideal.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit BareMetalCyber.com.